Women don't see unattractive men as people. As I saw one guy put it recently, I feel like we're trying to do mental gymnastics to not accept the fact that women see 80% of us as trash. As any single guy knows, modern women all chase the top 20% of men and they totally ignore the bottom 80%. Like if you approach them and you say hi, they'll just completely ignore you half the time. They won't even give you the courtesy of a response, or they'll give you a look of disgust and horror like you just shit on the floor. And it might seem like I'm making this sound worse than it is. Like if you're an older guy or you've been married or whatever, you might not realize how bad it's actually gotten for most guys. And so a lot of people, you know, older men, married men, women, they give young men this very, very out of touch advice like, oh, you know, just get a good haircut and make sure you're showered and clean and wear some nice cologne. Like they think the guys who are getting rejected are all morbidly obese and living in their mom's basement. It's not the case. I mean, you can be a fairly decent looking guy, goes to the gym, you're in good shape, dress well, clean, you smell good. But if you go to a bar and you approach a girl who's slim and in any way pretty, you are just going to get totally ignored most of the time. Like she's not even going to make eye contact with you. It's just total rejection, which is really humiliating to have to put yourself on the line like that, and then she won't even give you the dignity of a response. And if you're single right now, you already know this. You already know how bad it is if you're an unattractive guy. However, what I want to suggest to you in this video is that this idea of being unattractive to women, this is not what it seems. Like what actually makes a guy attractive to women and what makes him unattractive? And to cut to the chase here, it should already be pretty obvious where I'm going with this from the title of the video. It's porn. It's masturbation. These habits, masturbating and looking at porn, these are the main thing that's making that bottom 80% of men so unattractive to women. Masturbating and looking at porn, these habits give you a vibe, an aura, an anti-aura even, that makes women repulsed by you. Now, I've talked about this a lot in my previous videos, how to get sexual aura and animal magnetism through semen retention, how to do that in the right way so that, you know, usually within about 3 to 5 weeks of not masturbating, you find that you start to become extremely magnetic to women. You know, girls check you out more, they look at you more, they often flirt with you and even directly approach you in some cases. So obviously these are not new ideas if you follow me, but in this video, I want to take a different angle on this, which I think is really going to help a lot of you, especially if you're still struggling to do semen retention and avoid porn. And what I want to show you in this video is how this works from a female perspective, how women in their own words actually see the difference in a guy when he's not watching porn versus when he is. And a subscriber of mine named Majid sent this to me, so shout out to him because this was a great find. It's this post on Reddit from about 10 years ago. It's by a woman, and long story short, she talks about how she's roommates with this guy who she had been very attracted to, but then he started watching porn, he became a porn addict, and his whole vibe, his whole demeanor totally changes. He becomes like a different man, and she starts to find him utterly disgusting and repellent. And this is such a powerful post because it really confirms everything that me and a few other guys online have been saying about the power of using semen retention to attract women, but it shows this from the perspective of a woman herself, which is very, very revealing. So anyway, as she starts out, I thought I would share this story. It might be of interest, might not. I'm not making a judgment on porn or porn use, but this is just an observation I had of a recent experience in regards to a guy. So I move into a shared house with 2 other people, a guy and a girl, and due to a mix-up with our internet providers, we don't get internet for almost 2 months. So me and the roommate that I have, we get on really, really well. You know, we have lots of in-sync moments. We have lots of stuff in common. He makes me laugh. He laughs a lot. He looks me in the eye when he talks to me. He looks at everyone like he's interested in them, and he listens intently to their thoughts and views. He works as a math teacher, and when he comes home from work, he talks with so much enthusiasm about his job that I can almost see the appeal of maths myself, even though I've always been terrible at it. Now, alongside all of this, there's an almost instant physical and incredibly powerful attraction. It's unusual for me to feel such an instant and strong attraction to a guy. There's just something incredibly and alluringly masculine about him. Like he set off some primitive hindbrain jabbering in my subconscious, like this man good. Look at his arms and man chest and man face. Man. Her writing style is rather cringe, but let's just look past it. So anyway, she goes on. Now, looks wise, he's kind of fat. He has glasses. He has a slightly unkempt beard and probably a bit too much skull for his face. Objectively speaking, he's not the most physically attractive of men, but for some reason, he is to me. Everything about him leaves me smitten. And another thing is, he smells really, really good, although I can't define the scent or put my finger on it. He doesn't wear aftershave. I think it's just something about him. I make excuses to hang out with him and be around him, which is pretty easy when you live within 10 meters of each other, and I think he might like me too. I'm an old-fashioned kind of girl, plus I know that any sort of relationship with a housemate is obviously going to be disastrous, so my rational and controlled self stops me from flinging myself into his manly arms, but wow, it was kind of enjoyable and, as odd as it sounds, kind of wholesome just to be so attracted to someone in such a spontaneous and natural way. Then we get the internet. Over the next month or so, things change so drastically, it's weird for me to think about how I used to feel about him. He spends more and more time in his room with the door locked, getting up later and later for work. He doesn't look anyone in the eye. In fact, he doesn't meet mine or anyone's eyes much anymore. He doesn't laugh much or seem to take enjoyment in anything. The interest and enthusiasm he had when talking to people or about maths or 90s sci-fi has disappeared. He's made occasional but incredibly inappropriate comments about myself and my housemate to us that seem out of the blue and out of character. His skin looks grey and greasy. He was fast-tracking his career, but now he seems to be falling further and further behind. And for some obscure reason, streaming TV shows at about 8:30 p.m. becomes an absolute nightmare for me and my other housemate. The indefinable attraction I felt for him disappears. He doesn't smell good anymore. His eyes look dead. In fact, my bodily instincts have taken a complete U-turn. Instead of encouraging me to scoot up to him, they are subtly warning me to stay away. Now, this could all be a coincidence, of course. He's still essentially the same guy and a good one, and I'm not suggesting porn has turned him into a bad person, just a less good and less attractive version of the man he could be. I'm not a scientist or a psychologist or anything, but I don't think it's an accident that there's a correlation between getting the internet and this undefinable aura of manness disappearing. It makes me think porn is capable of altering a person's body chemistry and bearing. I guess what I'm trying to say is that I'm starting to realize how many people I'm surrounded by are losing out, myself included, because of porn. I wonder how many missed chances there have been because something is repressed or used up or changed by watching it. So this post is highly fucking revealing in my opinion. There's a big debate online these days, can women tell when a man watches porn? Women all say they can, but men then hit back with, well, if you have these amazing supernatural powers to read a guy's mind, then how come you can never seem to tell when he's going to end up abusing you and cheating on you or whatever? And, it's funny to dunk on women like this because a lot of them are very silly about this type of thing. But as silly as many of them are, they are actually 100% right when they say they can tell that a guy watches porn. I mean, it's not rocket science. It's pretty fucking obvious. I can tell when a guy watches porn just by looking at him. It's in the eyes, kind of furtive, can't hold eye contact with you, gives way too easily, submits to you too easily, moves out of your way. So yeah, I mean, if I can tell when a guy watches porn, then obviously women can tell. Now, they may not be articulate enough to put it into words, although I think this woman actually did put it into words very, very well. But women can just tell that something is off. You don't seem like a real man. You don't have any enthusiasm. You don't have any personal intensity.
This is Kenneth Parcell, one of our pages.
Oh, I didn't notice you there, son. You do not have a lot of charisma.
Now, on the other hand, when you do semen retention, when you do nofap, this practice of red magic that I've talked about, when you get in touch with your primal nature, which is not to masturbate, there is an electricity in the air that will always be present between you and a woman, any female. When you walk into a room, when a woman becomes aware of your presence, there's an electricity between you. There's a tension between you. Even if you are not her type physically, even if you're facially ugly, balding, older, younger, whatever, you have an aura about you and a kind of personal intensity where she gets a sense like, who is this? And that magnetism is always there between a man and a woman. Always. If the man has aura, if he has high testosterone, if he has this electricity in him, you could be the most haggard, weathered, beaten down scrub, dirty, unwashed, unshaved. You could be a 50-year-old fucking pirate with gray hair and a goddamn peg leg, missing your front teeth or something. If you have this aura, she will feel attraction. She will feel that electricity in your presence. Attraction is not about your looks. It's just not, okay? If you still think it's about your looks, stop jerking off. Stop looking at porn. Do that for 4 weeks. Do it for 8 weeks. Watch the difference in how women are treating you. Then come back to me and tell me it's all about looks. It's not. It's just fucking not. And you will see this with your own eyes when you test it yourself. Attraction is about your aura. It's about your presence as a man. It's your manliness, your personal intensity, that glint in your eye. And it is about, yes, a literal field of energy, a field of electromagnetism that surrounds your body. In Taoism, in China, they call it qi, and it gets stronger and more powerful within you every time you overcome lust. So on one hand, the incel view, the black pill view, is actually 100% correct. Women don't see unattractive men as people in the full sense of the word. But the incels are wrong insofar as they think that being attractive or unattractive is about the physical arrangement of the molecules that compose your face. Wrong. What you have to understand, and what you will understand, again, if you actually test this, is that when you get this electromagnetism from semen retention and abolishing your lust, from transmuting your lust, you could be the most ugly, haggard, hook-nosed freak who's missing an eye or whatever. Women will hallucinate that you are handsome. Do you understand? This is what you're not getting, or at least many of you. Reality is a hallucination. We never see things as they are. You're not seeing reality as it really is ever. As a matter of fact, there is no such thing as reality as it really is. There are only different perceptions. So this is important because you don't see reality as it is, and neither does the girl. We see what we want to see. And when you have this extremely powerful primal sexual energy coursing through your veins, it changes how the girls are perceiving you. It's like a reality distortion field around your person. An ugly guy can look handsome. An evil guy can look like an angel of light. And by the way, this goes both ways. This is why you've got to be real careful when you're on semen retention, because when you're doing nofap, when you haven't come in 3, 4, 5 weeks, 5s will look like they are 10s. You understand? Like, girls who you wouldn't have gone near before are going to start looking very, very attractive to you. And if you've done nofap before, you know what I'm talking about, right? Well, what's funny is this actually applies the other way around as well. This sexual energy you're carrying with you warps reality. It warps reality for you, making you hallucinate that, ugly girls are actually very attractive. And it also warps reality for the girls you come in contact with, making them hallucinate that you're this super attractive guy, even if you're technically physically not. So this sexual energy we're building up, it is magical, and it is magical in both senses of the word, both meaning supernatural, but also meaning illusion. It's the magic of illusion, what in Buddhism is called Maya. It gives you the power to warp other people's perception of reality, but it also warps your own perception of reality. And in that way, it's like a double-edged sword. So anyway, the bottom line though is that yes, women can tell when you watch porn because it kills your aura, it kills your magnetism, and they can definitely sense this. And what are the 9 ways they can tell? Well, this chick listed them herself. You won't look her in the eye. You're unable to meet her or anyone else's eye contact when they look at you. You don't laugh or take much enjoyment in anything. You have no interest or enthusiasm when talking about things. You might even say weird or inappropriate things to girls because of porn brain kind of deranging your mind, make kind of perverted or creepy comments to them. Personally, that one had never happened to me. I was always pretty good at controlling myself around girls, no matter how much porn I watched, but maybe that's the case with some of you, or maybe it just was personal to this guy. That's the only one here I don't really resonate with myself, but maybe some of you might have had experiences with it. Anyway, the next one then is your skin looks gray and greasy. You don't have that kind of glow. You'll notice when you're doing nofap after a few weeks, you get this amazing glow on your face. It's very, very noticeable. Your face looks very different. I mean, you do start to look more handsome. It's really weird. This can also be affected by testosterone and, working out, eating healthy, things like that. Another big tell of this like porn addict aura that women pick up on is that you are apathetic and you have lower ambition. You don't smell good. Your eyes look dead. So those are the signs that you watch porn. Those are all 100% real. And you can tell because, you can see this in yourself when you do nofap. You can see the difference in yourself. Take that eye contact one. Being able to meet people's eye contact, looking women in the eye. You're way, way better at that when you're in a streak of nofap. And it's not something you have to force. It kind of just happens naturally. Whereas when you're fapping regularly, you'll usually notice you're way less grounded. You're less able to meet people's eye contact. So all of these things are things you can observe in yourself and see the difference when you're fapping versus when you're not. This woman is not making these things up. Any guy with a fucking brain, if he tries nofap, can see these differences in himself after a few weeks or months. All right, so I've said that when you do nofap, women look at you more, they notice you more. And in my first couple of years of doing this, that was the main thing that happened. I'd felt like I was completely invisible to women before, but now suddenly I'd have girls on my college campus making eye contact with me, looking at me, even staring at me. But then what actually started happening to me a few years later is that women were not only looking at me more, but they actually started to approach me. And this happens to me now pretty much every night I go out at this point. You know, I usually have 1, 2, or even 3 girls approach me on a typical night out, and these are often very hot girls as well. So the question is, how do you make this happen? You know, what are the tricks? What are the secrets? What are the hacks that I added to NoFap to make women start approaching me pretty much like clockwork whenever I go out? Well, I reveal all this in my free book, The Ultimate Guide to Making Women Approach You. You can download that for free right now on my website. It's a short read, and you just need to enter your email address, and I will email you the book right now. So click the link in the pinned comment below, enter your email address, and I will send you this free book right now. If you're sick of getting rejected by women, if you're sick of being ignored by women, it's a huge breath of fresh air to actually have them chasing you, approaching you, you know, working hard to win your approval. In some cases, they'll literally just start touching you, hugging you, groping you right off the bat. I'm not promising that will happen to you every day, but it will happen to you sometimes, you know, especially if you're at a bar, girls are partying, they're getting a little drunk. They tend to get very handsy with you right off the bat if you do the 5 things I talk about in this guide. It's very fun. It's going to completely change your dating life, make it much easier to get laid without rejection. So if you want this book, like I said, it's completely free. Just click the link in the pinned comment below, enter your email address, and I'll email you the book right now. And when you do that, you're also going to be signed up to my free email newsletter with daily new articles from me about dating psychology, game, attracting women, animal magnetism, and some of the more occult or esoteric topics that are often too weird to get into here on YouTube. This newsletter is also completely free. It's where I post all my best stuff. Anyone who's been following me for a while will tell you that. So make sure you sign up to my email list now at the link below. Click the link in the pinned comment to do that and get your free book right now. And then if you like the newsletter, like most guys do, you can stick around. But if you don't like it, you can easily unsubscribe at any time. No big deal. But just make sure you grab that free guide right now while it's still available if you haven't already. So click the link in the pinned comment below to get your free book right now, and I'll see you on the other side.